morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, to the channel IT Simplified. Hope you're having a good time with your family and friends and liking these videos. In today's session on Azure, I'm here to talk about immutable storage. What is it, and how you can utilize this in your environment. So, immutable storage is, I will say, one feature within Azure Blob Storage, which allows you to protect it from any unauthorized access from deletion perspective. And in case you have critical data in your organization, it will allow you to safeguard that. So there is a concept of what you call warm storage, which stands for write once and read many. Once you lock the policy within Azure Storage and make it immutable, even if you are as an administrator, you won't be able to delete the data which is locked under that policy. And there are a lot of case scenarios for these kind of requirement, specifically in case from health organization which needs to keep the data for a certain duration of time. You can confidently put this under the immutable storage and make sure that nobody will be able to delete that data, whether it's for 1 month, 1 year, 10 year, you can specify the time. Now, immutable storage is generally used for blob as well as append storage. And blob storage, as you know that there are different kinds of storage for that. There's a block blob, there's an append blob, there's a page blob. So in this case, I'm talking about block blob storage, which is basically unlimited storage that you can utilize for storing any unstructured data, structured data, semi-structured data, and you can dump it into blob or binary large objects and put this under the immutable storage and make sure that it is cannot be erased or deleted. Now, when we create a storage account in Azure, you'll have to create container. And in that container, you will upload blobs. So immutable storage is applied at the blob level. That's very important. And also here I want to point out that there are different tiers within storage. You can have a hot, cool, or archival. You can apply these policy at any of the tier level. There is no restriction in terms of tier that you can apply. But with that, there are two policies that you can apply this immutable storage. One is legal hold policy, and other one is retention based policy. And why we'll choose one over the other? By the way, you can have both the policies applied to the same blob at the same time. So you can apply at blob storage both these policies. So say, for example, even if the retention, if you apply that policy for 1 year and still there's a legal hold on that one, you won't be able to still delete that files or data in that blob. Now, just to keep it simple, you will apply a legal hold policy in case you're not sure how long you want to keep the data for. That's a good case scenario for legal hold, but it will still protect your data. But in a scenario where you're not sure like how long you want to keep the data, like for example, from regulatory industries such as from banking, from health, they want to keep the data for specific duration of time. But in the scenario where you're not sure for how long you want to keep the data, you can apply a legal hold policy. Retention based policy is based on time, and you can specify how long you want to keep the data for. But one major difference between the two is, in case, say for example, I put the data in retention-based policy for 1 year, you cannot delete that data. Even if you, as a global admin, you won't be able to delete that data. But today, if I go and create a legal hold policy, and as a global admin, I can remove those tags from that legal hold policy, and I will be able to delete. That's why it's very important when you apply a retention-based policy, you should be 100% sure for how long you want to keep the data. Now, another thing is that if I specify that I can keep the data in the policy initially for 1 year, and 1 month down the line it says that, okay, I want to reduce that duration for 11 months, you won't be able to do. You can always extend, but you cannot reduce the duration of that time. So you should be 100% sure when you're applying retention-based policy, and I will show you when we look at the Azure portal. So this is what immutable storage is. Basically, the idea is that in case you want to safeguard your critical data, a lot of organizations, they have important information that they want to keep it. They have backup sets. You don't want them to be changed, or somebody can get access to that and delete that. Health organization, banking, government, industry, all these organizations, they have important information that this immutable storage, they can make sure that the data is protected and nobody can tamper with it. So with that, let me just flip over to the Azure portal and let's create a storage account. And we'll see how this policy will apply. So very similar, I'm just going to go and create a storage account. I'll take all the defaults, review and create, and click on the create button. Let's go inside the storage account. And as I said that we are talking about blob services, so I'm going to go and expand and containers and click on container, and let's name it. Click on create. So the container was created successfully, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a file to test. Just a standard file, and I've uploaded this picture here. And let's see, with no policy in effect, am I able to delete this blob? So as you saw that we create the storage account, we create the container, and in that container, we have uploaded this blob. So if I come here and delete, I should be able to delete. No surprise here, right? So let's go back and add this file. All right. So as I said that this immutable storage policy needs to be applied at the blob level. So under settings, if I go under access policy, you see under immutable blob storage, I have this option of adding policies. I'm going to go here, and there are two options. I have a legal hold and time-based, which I explained. So let's take a look at the legal hold first. So I'm going to say and give it a tag. And name it ITS policy, but it's for my company. Let's click on OK. So it says that successfully updated the retention policy here. And I can see that the identifier is here, retention interval is indefinite, state is enabled here, right? So let me just come out of this and go to my container. I'm just going to refresh because it takes some time to delete. So now I'm going to go and select this and try to delete the blob. And you see, I get this notification that because it's a legal hold, I cannot delete this. But let's see what happens if I delete the tag. So if I go back to the access policy, I'm going to go and edit. What I'm going to do is go and delete this tag and say OK. So that tag is being removed. So let me just refresh because I know that it takes some time for this policy to remove. And now if I go and delete, I should be able to delete. As I said that it takes some time. So let me just try one more time. And you can see that even there was a legal hold, I, as a global admin, can go inside, remove the tag, and that block can be removed. Now, let's see now the other option. So I'm going to upload that blob one last time. And this time, I'm going to apply the retention policy. So let me close this, go back to access policy, immutable blob storage, add policy, and let's pick now time-based retention. And at this stage, what I'm going to say that, okay, let's keep this data for 2 days and click on OK. So successfully updated the retention policy. Now, once you have done that, I can see my retention policy, but you also need to lock this policy. Right now, it is in unlocked state. If I expand these 3 dots, I can go and lock this policy. And this is very critical because this is irreversible, as I said that. Even as a global admin, if you go once this is in place, you won't be able to remove the data. So yes, I'm testing this. So let's go and log this policy. Now, let's see what happens. I'm going to refresh this. Let's go and try to delete. And you can see that I'm not able to delete because the policy is in place. I can keep this data for 2 days, and then after that only I'll be able to delete. But let's go inside the access policy and see what are the options for editing this. So I'm going to go here, and remember, I made this policy and specified that keep the data for 2 days. Can I keep it for 1 day? No, it's not letting me, right? It gives me error saying that the value must be between 2 and 146,000 days. So I can only increase the duration of the time, but I can go on the other direction. So if I want to go and say 3 days and say OK, yes, I'll be able to do that, and the retention interval has been increased to 3 days. But this will make sure that your data is protected, all by using immutable storage, which is write once, read many. That's what it uses for. And with this way, specifically under those case scenario in which as an enterprise organization, you want to make sure that your data is protected, even from the health industry. And if you're into those regulated industry in which you have to keep the data for specific duration of time, you can confidently keep this under the immutable storage. I hope you found this session useful on immutable blob storage. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.